2 days ago, I showed you my process for brainstorming to come up with some topics. And so over the past couple of days, I've been thinking about it, and I feel like I'm leaning towards post infertility. So I'm going to start researching today and show you some of my processes with researching, and then we're going to jump in and start writing. And I think right now, just to start, I'm going to kind of lay out what I know so far. So I dealt with 6 years of infertility, and these are just my thoughts. I'm just free writing. Um, and so, anyway, so 6 years of infertility until I had my first baby. So anyway, this is just my free writing, free thinking. Um, so kind of questions I want to know: are there common effects of infertility? Like, I want to know, did other women go through this after they had children, whether it was, you know, through in vitro or naturally or through adoption, whatever method brought that child into um, the person's home. Were there, did they also struggle with some of these things that I struggled with? Um, and I also want to know how other people um, overcame infertility issues, and I want to know how can I help other people struggling with infertility and post infertility. Okay, so those are kind of my questions. I don't really have a strong direction yet, but I think as I research that I'm really going to get a good idea of where I want to go with this. So let's get going on research. So I'm going to come to the good old Learn library here and start my research. Now, I've mentioned before, the more you learn, the more you use the Learn library, the easier it will be. I'll admit, the first time I used the Learn library, it's not like Google. It's not easy like maybe some of the other databases that you're used to. With the Learn library, I have my favorite databases that I like to use. And so I'm going to actually use ProQuest. That, for me, with the different research that I've done on the Learn library, that has been one of my favorites. And I've done videos on using the Learn library, and so I'm not going to go over that a lot. I just went to alphabetical view, but you can also do simple view, subject view. Like some of you, subject view is great because if you go to health and medical, that naturally brings up all of the databases that are going to be the most effective for you to use in researching. And so basically, ProQuest and Nursing and Allied Health Database are my two favorites. Also, the Gale Virtual Reference Library, I think of it as kind of an encyclopedia. If you need to get basic definitions of medical terms, of if you're writing about a specific disease, you can go there and really get some good background information. But right now, I'm just going to jump right into ProQuest. And let's see. I'm going to start really broad and general. So I want full text, and I'm not going to do peer reviewed just yet. So first of all, I think I'm just going to try post infertility and see what that brings up for me. All right, so I have 44,199 results. And I'm just going to glance through these really quickly. Like, for example, this title here, primary and secondary infertility and post-traumatic stress disorder, experiential differences between type of infertility and symptom characteristics. That actually, with the post-traumatic stress disorder, that actually sounds like something that might go. So I'm going to click on that. And so I have created my research account. And so I can save things into that account. So I'm going to select this. So you see, like, that's when it's not selected. I'm going to select it and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to save that to my research. And you can also create folders. So I'm going to create a new folder for this, and I'm going to call it post infertility, and save it in that folder. That way I can later go back and look at everything just for that. And I feel like I need to probably fix my search here a little bit. So I'm going to put post infertility, and I'm going to look for peer reviewed, and I think that should be a little bit better. So let's do that. Publication date, yeah, let's do within the last 3 years and see what that brings for me. Okay, that's going to be a lot more manageable. All right. So now I'm just going to look through this list. Like this, looking at that title doesn't really fit. Yeah, this isn't what I'm looking for, and that's making me think that my first article isn't what I'm looking for either, but we'll look at it in just a second. Why don't I add infertility and emotional and mental health? And see what that brings up. Also, I noticed these other topics, so I'm just going to look into that. Okay, so I feel like I have a good basis. I've got 18 articles, it looks like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these articles, and I can start with a kind of preliminary look and see what kind of article it is. I can go and look at the abstract and see if it will give me any ideas of where I want to go and how to support my ideas. So I think I might want to do, like, my first point, look at the individual mentally and emotionally and then look at the couple, the marriage, and then look at the parent-child relationship. I think those three things, if I could address those in relation to post-infertility, I think I could have a strong essay on those three things. And the biggest thing is, I think this right here: how can I help other people struggling with infertility and post-infertility? So I'm going to just highlight that, because that's my big purpose. And so I think that my audience is going to be people who are struggling with infertility or who have struggled with infertility, and address these different things, and also address the need to continually find help and ways to overcome these things. Okay, so I'm going to jump into my research now. I'm not going to make you sit through my research, but so for example, like I mentioned before, I have these 18 articles, and I might also, I might Google now. Like, it's okay. I've got my 18 articles. I can also Google to get let's look at post-infertility. It would help if I spelled it right. And notice, like, that there are different articles that this suggests. The Learn Library does this also, by the way. So, I can look at things. So, for example, this first thing that comes up: pregnancy after infertility leads to parenting and raises issues about how these infertility experiences affect families later on. So that's something that, and like, here's some more articles. So I'm never saying that all of your research has to come from the Learn Library, but don't become completely dependent on Google, because yes, I've got some great articles here, and I even have one that looks like it's from Harvard Health, which is a great academic resource. And I can also use these articles to help me guide my research more in the Learn Library. But so I'm going to use this Google search, I'm going to use my Learn research, and I'm going to pull together some ideas. So next time, in our next segment, we will start outlining, and we will start actually writing the essay. So join me again, and I will dump my brain out for you, and hopefully you will get some ideas on how to do your research and how to guide your writing along the way. Thanks for joining me.